Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be the start of a series about adult gymnastics classes in the Sydney area. So I have been living in Wollongong for the last couple of years, or in the Wollongong area, and I'm in the process of moving back up to the Sutherland Shire in Sydney. And one of the downsides to living in Wollongong was that all of the fantastic adult gymnastics classes and adult gymnastics facilities in the Sydney area were just a little bit too far of a drive. I have been going to SGAC, Sydney Gymnastics and Aquatic Centre at Rooty Hill. I was going there at the end of last year, and that is an hour and a half drive for a 90-minute class, and then an hour and a half drive back at 8 o'clock at night. The class starts, or maybe 7:30. I'll have to double check that. Anyways, and that was cool. However, 3 hours driving for an hour and a half class is a bit excessive. And when petrol prices went up, I just had to be sensible and put a pause on those trips. But because I'm moving back to the Sutherland Shire, this opens up a lot of options, or just makes things an hour drive as opposed to a 2 hour drive, or a 30-minute drive as opposed to an hour and a half drive. So it's going to open me up to a lot of adult gymnastics classes. So last night I had the night off coaching, and so I went and checked out Sydney Hills Gymnastics. It's in the Parramatta area, so it was still just over an hour drive from the Sutherland Shire. And the reason I went to Sydney Hills is because they had a class on a Tuesday night, and it was the earliest class start time because I was going to be driving an hour there and an hour back. I didn't want to be driving and getting home at midnight. So it's runs 7:30 to 9:30, so it's a 2 hour class. This is part of the problem with adult gymnastics classes is, I am willing to drive, but I don't really want to drive an hour if I'm only going to be getting an hour worth of gymnastics time or an hour and a half. I would like to be, if I'm going to be driving an hour, I want to be getting a 2 hour class. Anyways, so I wanted to give it a go. First things first, as I left Wollongong, because I haven't yet moved, I did forget my grips. And I was like, ooh, I realized when I was about 45 minutes into my drive. And that's a problem because I absolutely love bars. And I was like, oh, should I still go if I've forgotten my grips? Anyways, I decided that yes, I can do plenty of stuff. I can do beam, I can do tumbling, I can do metal bar, I can do bar handstands, all that kind of stuff. So still went. And then when I got there, turns out it's totally fine that I forgot my grips because Sydney Hills has 2 locations. And the location that adult gym is run out of is their mag gym. So they didn't really have any uneven bars anyways. So I couldn't have done bars even if I had my grips. Okay, so just to run you through the gym, the reason I chose Sydney Hills is because they do have pit facilities, they have Spieth equipment, and I really, really like Spieth equipment and I know how to use it, that kind of thing. So I've got a couple of little clips of the gym. I don't like to walk into gyms when there's people in there and just blatantly film everybody. So I tried not to be obnoxious if I'm just like taking a shot of the gym. Anyways, so like I said, it is primarily a mag gym, and their facilities are absolutely beautiful. And it was actually really warm in this gym. They must have had heaters on, which is pretty unheard of. Really massive pits. They've got a rod floor into the pit. They've got vault into the pit. They've got a full Spieth floor. And then as you can see, they've got like a big tramp into the pit and then a lot of mag equipment. And then they've got a second room that has a tumble tramp and some rec equipment. So like another floor an air floor into the pit, another tramp into the pit, and then couple of old Spieth beams and a little set of like baby Spieth bars. I don't even think I could have done a kip on them. They were very low, very, yeah. Okay, so because of that, I focused on doing floor stuff. So I've got a video full of most of the things that I got to do. This is the first training session back after I've been sick for a couple of weeks. So I felt pretty out of breath. Can hear it now. But I actually often find that when I go to adult gymnastics classes, I'm really springy, I'm really flexible. Like, I don't know, something about maybe the adrenaline that like I have because I'm going somewhere new and I don't know anybody and I'm a little bit nervous, like that I get a little bit of adrenaline and that makes gymnastics actually a little bit easier. So that was cool. But a lot of the floor skills that I was doing, like for beam, I haven't done in weeks and weeks, but they were actually really good. I also have never used a rod floor for tumbling before, so that took a little bit of adjusting. It's a cross between a sprung floor and a trampoline, and I really struggled to get my timing and my takeoff angles from my round off. So I didn't really feel like I adjusted very well to that, and I kind of felt like it was cool, but I prefer a sprung strip into the pit. Ideally, that's my ideal setup for training doubles and floor upgrades and things like that. But it was cool for doing my front salto series, and because it is soft, it did kind of flare up the arthritis in the ball of my foot, and so I was quite sore after doing the tumbling that I did. Um, and then, as I said, there were no bars, and the beams were in a separate room where the coach wasn't supervising. So I didn't want to spend too much time in there, and I'm very much out of practice with beam skills. And there were no beam mats, and there were like, so I didn't really do any upgrades on beam. I just did some handstands, I did some leaps, and that was really nice. So the format of the class was you have the warm up was led by the coach, and that was nice. It was dynamic stretching, so not a lot of static stretching. Um, and then the coach took everybody that wanted to be led over and did some handstands and some tumbling, um, and floor basics and things like that. And then they did strength. And then everybody else, so there was me who was doing like artistic type stuff, and I don't need to be coached really. And then there were a couple of other people that know what they're doing, and then there were some trickers, and so like it was pretty relaxed. You can kind of, like a lot of open gym classes, you can kind of do whatever you want. I finished off with some back open back tucks with the goal of doing standing back layouts, and then I did some handstands. Unfortunately, because it is at the Bella Vista location for Sydney Hills Gymnastics, I probably won't be going again, because they don't have uneven bars, and I I that's probably 50% of what I train, if not more. Absolutely love bars, so it was an hour drive, and I probably wouldn't drive an hour to a facility that doesn't have, yeah, bars that I can use. Um, but for other people, the facilities are fabulous. The staff are very friendly. Like when I called up to inquire, the lady was lovely. And then when I got there, I just went straight up to the window, and she, showed me where to go and what to do. Um, and the people at adult gymnastics are always such lovely, encouraging people. There were like a wide range of ages, abilities, backgrounds. Some people that have obviously been doing gymnastics for a long time. Some people that have a little bit of gymnastics experience. Some people have that have none, and everybody just is really open to like encouragement and open to feedback and supportive, and that was really lovely, very welcoming. So, um, yeah, I'm kind of bummed that they don't have uneven bars, because I would love to have that as an option. Um, but yeah, so if you are looking for an adult gymnastics class, I believe it runs, I'm pretty sure it's either Monday to Thursday, as in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, or it's Mondays and Thursdays, 7:30 to 9:30. Sydney Hills Gymnastics at Bella Vista, which is like near Parramatta. I can't. I got a free trial yesterday, so I don't know how much the price is, but I'm pretty sure it's like a around the $25 mark per session, and then you can get a 10 part pass, 10 pass, 10 pack pass. Wow, can't speak. Anyways, all you need if you haven't been to an adult gymnastics class before is like a bottle of water. Make sure you wear layers because it is obviously cold outside, but when you get into the gym, you do get quite warm. A sweat towel if you're a sweater, pretty please, because gymnastics equipment does not handle sweaty bodies very well, and it's also really nice courtesy to other people to take a sweat towel if you are a sweater, because you do want to wipe down the vinyl crash mats and things like that if you land on them, and we don't want them to be slippery or gross for our peers. Yeah, stay tuned. As I said, this is going to be a series, so I am not able to go to any more classes this week because I'm coaching, but there are several more that I'm looking at checking out over the next couple of weeks. So I'm hoping that I can at least film some of it and then give a little bit of feedback and just put the information out there, because gymnastics is notoriously bad for advertising. Gymnastics businesses are often really like busy or understaffed or have awkward hours, and so sometimes it's hard to get the information. Websites aren't always clear whether you need to book in advance or if you can just show up, like casual bookings, all that kind of stuff. It isn't clear. So I'm going to aim to like create this series so you can look at the facilities, get an idea of how the class runs, whether it's open gym style or whether it's coach led, whether it's very rigidly structured or if you can go off on your own if you want to. What the facilities are like, what the coaches are like, what the customer service is like, all those kinds of things. And so that we can get more people doing adult gymnastics and getting into gyms and feeling like they belong there and feeling like they can walk into a gym and it be less intimidating. We want to make it as easy as possible to get whoever wants to do gymnastics into a gym to do gymnastics. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned for the next in this series by subscribing. And if you have any questions about Sydney Hills Gymnastics, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.